Hello and welcome. My name is Mark Tyoxin, and this is the Witchy podcast, where we talk about all things witchy and many things not so witchy. Here with me today is Helene, and she is a magical being that does magical things and witchy things. Thanks for hanging out.
Of course, anytime. Let's do this.
So, in general, what are some of the things that people know about you?
They know I am a palm reader, and I have a brand and a book called Handful of Stars.
Right. When did your book? Do you call it a book? It's a whole kit.
It's a kit. Yeah, I call it a book just because it's just easier to say. But yeah, then I have to explain the whole kit. But yeah, it is a kit. It's a palm reading kit that's supposed to make it easy and accessible for other people to learn how to read palms, because I feel like it's one of those little like metaphysical arts that overwhelms people. They're like, oh, I could never do that. So the intention of it is to break it all down. So there's ink and these sheets of paper that you would roll the ink onto and take your handprint. And something about taking the, like, not looking at your hand, about making it more of a graphic,
right,
makes it easier to break down like the lines and shapes.
Right. And I think that even just that separation is kind of like looking at a photo of yourself versus staring at yourself in the mirror.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are
that.
like, even me, I look at my hand, I'm like, what? That's a lot going on.
Well, also, it's a different way to see it, because we're, as much as we don't look at our hands, we're kind of used to seeing our hands in this way. So it's like, that's the same view, but all of a sudden it's a different view that we're like, oh.
Yeah.
And now I see all these
Now
lines.
it's like, my background's graphic design, so visual communication is kind of a jam, and I find like that it just makes it more easy for people to not be like.
Do you feel like palm reading is, as far as sort of your wheelhouse, one of your main tools? What are some of the other tools you use in general, whether for your own life or for friends?
And my magical tools?
Yes.
My magical tools?
Yeah, in your magical toolbox.
So for personally, tarot is my go-to, even though that's nothing I would ever like really do for someone else as a service. But as far as like day-to-day, tarot, because palm reading is actually it can be vague. It's kind of like an overarching story, where tarot you can ask like more like, what's happening this week, or what kind of energy should I step into. Also astrology, I'm very big into astrology. I use the Chani app. Every week I listen to her workshop, and I journal in my astrology journal day by day what's going to happen, and then I just kind of watch it. I watch it unfold. It's my favorite thing.
So that's one of your daily practices.
Yes, astrology is every week. For 2 years I haven't missed a beat, and it's so helpful, and it's magical.
Right now, energetically, you've sort of decided to take a break.
I have. I've been palm reading and doing my Handful of Stars, small business for 4 years, and it kind of ebbs and flows with my motivation and my focus on it. So sometimes I give it a little space to figure out where it's going or what it's doing.
Well, I think it's very interesting, especially because it's easy to, when you, not that it's a hobby, when you take your interest and actually turn them into businesses. And so all of a sudden, like, it's easy to fall into that, this is my business, it has to continue, I have to keep it going no matter what. And in general, like if you had a store, we don't think of people owning a store being like, they're just gonna take a break for 6 months. We're gonna close their store for 6 months. I mean, there are some that do that, but seasonally, but
with a store, you have other people working for you.
Right, you can't,
I am everything, yes, for this.
So the idea, a lot of times, especially for an extended period, it'd be like, self-care would be like, okay, I'm going to take the day off, I'm going to take the weekend off, but then to be like, I'm going to take,
I don't know how long.
I'm
just taking off.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I have multiple hustles, and sometimes, some of them take more energy out of me, and I'm truly very intuitive. I'm a triple Cancer for anyone who's into astrology, and so if I feel like I'm pushing something too hard, it starts, with creative things, which I do think palmistry is creative, when it starts to lose its joy and you are able to pull back, that's when I feel like you allow the space to let magic happen. Just like when they say, when someone's looking for love, right? They're like, stop looking and then it'll happen. That's kind of what I'm doing with Handful of Stars. I feel like I'm pushing it and it's not feeding me back what I'm needing, so I'm just gonna give it some space. And literally, the day after I posted on Instagram kind of that I was taking a sabbatical, you reached out and were like, can we do this interview? And I was like,
oh, well,
something's already happening.
Honestly,
right?
the way that worked out on my side was I was lining these up or thinking about lining these up, and I was like, I'm gonna ask you, and I hadn't gotten to it because I was like, I'm always thinking timing, but then like, so we live in the same area, and
Literally
I had
7
dropped off my
minutes.
son at school, and then on the way back home, I hear this honk, and it's Helene in the car, and I was like, well, now I gotta ask her. So, I mean,
I saw your See the Star sticker and then the Waldorf School, and I was like, I have to know that person.
I was clearly that is a sign.
Yeah.
I mean, if that wasn't, yeah, no, that had to be a sign. So like, so then like soon after, it was like,
Yeah.
like an hour later, I was like, all right, I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I'm like, duh.
I know, but
Of course.
sometimes you're a big deal.
I'm not a big deal. I sleep.
I know it's funny. I know you're
no
not.
deal.
I know. I mean, I know.
I know, you suck. Okay.
I mean,
Just shut the
thank
cameras
you
off.
for
We're done.
being so comfortable to talk and accessible in general. No, it's been awesome. When you are sort of doing all the things, and I'm actually trying to come up with a question as I speak.
Is this where we turn psychic? And I'm like, I see what you're trying to say.
No,
I have a message coming through.
other than the astrology, is that daily or weekly?
Weekly.
Weekly?
Weekly, I listen to the workshop on the Channy app, and then I kind of go through it daily.
Are there do you have any other daily rituals?
No, I just work my ass off. I have
Well, I think
yeah.
many people that try to do any sort of magic work, you know, it's easy to veer into that territory, right?
Yeah.
And especially when, so like Leah, my wife, is a professional witch, right? And she's sort of held on to that priestess and all those titles for a while. And it's this struggle of like, at first it's like legitimacy,
Right.
you know, like, okay, I'm taking this seriously, but then you feel that pressure of like wanting to make everyone else take it seriously.
Yeah, that's why I love her channel. What is it? Call Me Crazy, or yeah, because it's like sometimes you feel like that. You're like, okay, I am a very magical person. My work is magical, but like also am I crazy?
Right.
You know, so it's legitimacy from the people who are looking at you, but also for yourself. You know, because like I'm 41 years old, but I'm a professional palm reader.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if I was sitting on an airplane talking to somebody and they're like, "What do you do?" Probably wouldn't mention the palm reading because it's like they're gonna be like, "You're a weirdo." It depends on the person you're feeling out, but
right.
yeah, it's a whole, I feel like, psychological thing sometimes to be in this environment.
I mean, that's anybody at any time, but yeah.
And an accountant, do you think they question the legitimacy of their work?
That's
Like, is
true.
money and are numbers real?
They
You
question
know?
the like
Yeah.
interest,
Yeah.
interest
Yeah.
in their work.
Yeah, so, yeah.
But I mean, how do you introduce yourself?
Well, like when I meet someone?
Yeah.
I'll say I'm a designer, author, palm reader, but
Okay.
usually it's the palm reader, they're like, what?
Designer, author, palm reader.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm all the things.
You're like, wait, what?
I'm like, designer, author, palm reader. Yeah.
Slash witch. Right. Well, how do you incorporate it into sort of your regular life?
So how do I bring like magic into my everyday life?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody carries crystals in their bras and everything like that.
No, I don't usually wear them, so there's that.
So you get other options.
Yes. You know, intention. It's everything I feel about being magical or being a witch is all about intention. So having like, you know, I feel like I have kind of manifested my dream life over the last 4 years.
I've seen that.
Yes, because 4 years ago I was getting a divorce from a man, and
Has it only been 4 years?
it's only been 4 years.
Man, this is a big journey.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
a long way.
yeah.
In a short time. Like 4 years is not long.
Yeah, it felt long.
I know.
But I always wanted to live in Pine Lake, and I wanted to marry a wonderful woman, and I feel like the way to, you know, manifest, sometimes that word turned me off a little bit, because it's
real
like
floaty and
it's just become like part of this vernacular. It's like, I mean, just getting any kind of dream, so, you know, chasing a dream is having an intention and really putting like a humble energy and and work into getting it. And I feel like that's what being a witch is. It's trying to make dreams come true through intention and attraction and visualization, and but it has to come from a humble place. Like that's my trick to manifestation or to getting what you want. But it's not going to happen overnight. You know, I'm not going to sit here and be like, I want to have a new book and whatever, and then tomorrow it all happens perfectly and I get everything I want. Like, the universe is going to put you through trials and lessons and all that. So even though I got to where I wanted to be, like the journey here wasn't an easy one.
Right. I believe that Leah, my wife, would say that I am one of those trials and lessons the universe has thrown at her.
Everything in life is a trial and lesson. And I feel like
probably like her biggest challenge.
Relationships are these huge challenges because it is in children, right? Children are like a mirror.
Right.
You know, it's like we feel like we're raising them, but I feel like in a lot of ways they're really the ones showing us.
Especially if you're open to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps, especially, I only know parenting my own child, and I'm not that smart about it, but like I can see how like...
Your child is wonderful, of course you are.
Thanks. Yeah, that's Leah's, a lot of her. I follow her lead on the things. But really in just being open to what they're, I guess, going to teach you, and because you can easily shut down.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, especially when it's hard. You know.
Yeah. Staying open. That's right. The true.
But at the same time, sometimes, our son. Okay, so the first time I ever got really frustrated with him, I think I physically, I didn't even slap him in the face, right? I was like that to his arm, because I was like, where can I hit you? And it was kind of like a slap shove, like, and he was stunned, and he hit me back, I was like, I guess that's the right response, because we've never really
work that out before.
So I kind of laughed. I was like, that's...
You're like, fair enough. I deserve that.
I mean, we do that when we play wrestle.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, that's an interesting frame of reference he had there. And I was like, and that he was open enough and comfortable enough to kind of hit me back.
Yeah. And they say that your kids, when they're acting out, it's because they're so comfortable with you that they feel safe
absolutely.
doing that. And I'm like, man, my kid feels real safe around me.
I mean, it's easy to forget that. That's just funny. So.
Yeah, I have a book somewhere called it's about spiritual, the conscious parent. It's kind of about the spiritual lessons that your kids are giving you. Because I really can't look at it any other way.
What is your process do you have a process of manifesting? In my analytical mind, I don't do it as much, but I came up with things to do.
Yeah, well, you manifested this beautiful kombucha and brand. I mean, it came from a crazy place, but I'm always feeling it out, you know, just like with the sabbatical I'm taking for a handful of stars. It's like, okay, well, I was trying this and it wasn't working, so I'm going to let it go. And it's like strategy that you have to change, you know, because you're like, okay, this isn't getting you what I want. Maybe I need the space to figure out what it is that I want. That's a hard question, because these things are very ethereal, you know, so it's hard to put them into words.
Well, and going back to it, I mean, I think earlier conversation where I think it was before the forcing it. Yeah. And it kind of takes some practice at recognizing when you are forcing it, because there is always that balance of sometimes you just need to do stuff. Right. And then you
need to make money and work and
even just if I were to want to learn how to be a really good tarot reader, kind of the only way to do that is by doing readings, even for myself, and getting off book, right? To some degree. I can read all the things, but I'm not gonna get better unless I actually do it. Right. I can read about push-ups, but it's not gonna matter unless I actually do the push-ups. Yeah. So there's that amount of having to actually do a thing. And then, but it's easy for us to get to that point where we're pushing it, especially if you're your own business and your brand, and you're like, I need this brand to succeed. I need it to, and so you're doing everything, and then it becomes that stopping.
Wall,
you hit that wall, and if you don't recognize it, it's you just keep pushing in.
But there's this participation you have to do with the energy that where you're trying to achieve. So it's the balance of participating but also being open to letting things happen. I feel like that's the best way to describe it. It's like that balance of like
Right.
I'm engaged, but I'm also open to what is supposed to happen.
But it's also tricky because you get afraid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can be afraid like, well, if I stop, everything just stops and then nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like that's the initial fear until you realize
That's
that like
part of the participation. You're not going to get rewarded in any kind of way until you face things that are unknown, right?
Mhm. Oh
Yeah, you've been there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well now, you know, I did photography largely for 10 years and, you know, self-employed and all that, and then I got sick and unknown. So I've had very good sort of training wheels as far as dealing with that.
Yeah.
And like not knowing, because even with photography, as much as you want to be like, I can map out my income,
Right.
like you don't. And so even now, even with the kombucha business and everything else, it's still like, it's hard to think beyond. Definitely, we have longer 6-month plans, but like then that's mostly because of other things like the lease and stuff.
Oh,
but
yeah.
like it's hard to think beyond like a month or two.
Oh, I
you
know. I don't know what I'm gonna be when I grow up. There's like that whole thing, you know, like this like big plan. Like I don't know what's gonna happen in 2 weeks.
Right.
You
Well,
know.
when we grow up.
But a good point you kind of had there is I feel like when you do face fears,
Mhm.
like, you know, me coming through my midlife crisis, I call it my midlife correction or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you go through those really dark spots where you really don't know what's going to happen
Right.
or what's coming through, that's when the real transformation happens and you get a little, not jaded, but you get a little more comfortable facing fears and
Right.
knowing
No,
it's
it is
all
muscle.
going to be okay. You know, like, you've already been through this. I can, whatever's coming, I
Right.
can handle that, you know? You were extremely sick. You're like, man, I'm sure in 2 weeks, even though I don't know what's coming, it's not gonna be that, you know?
Right. And the thing with that though, also, it's easy to forget. You know, and then it's nice to have that in your back pocket to go back on.
Yeah.
But it is like, oh yeah, I gotta remember that when I was in the hospital bed and like, who knows, like none of this stuff really mattered.
Oh,
you know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Or like when you, I don't know what it's for you, when you first moved out of your house and your relationship and into a trailer in the backyard or whatever.
Yes, that happened.
You know, when you're like, I'm leaving this, but I'm gonna live in a trailer in the backyard. So
As one does.
yeah.
That pink trailer is a super cute
Right,
trailer.
but still, that is a whole action, you know?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was an action that I was scared to take, but at the same time I knew I had to. So that's a whole other conversation.
Right. Well, yeah, so I mean, it's like having these moments, and you know, in the moment, to some degree, you're really unsure, but then for the 4 years down the line, or even earlier than that, you're like,
Thank God I did that.
right, like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah.
But you were bringing up the perspective of kind of like when you are on your deathbed,
Mhm.
did it matter that I
Right.
took off palm reading for 3 months? Like, absolutely not. Is that what matters when you like look at your life as a whole? Like, what matters is what kind of person you are, right? Not like the jobs that you did and the money you made.
That makes me think of another thing that I get kind of angry about these days is in elementary school, I had perfect attendance for like I think all through 8th grade. And now I'm just like, what a big waste of time. Like,
And then
why
you're
was
like-
I so proud of that? Like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I was so proud of my GPA coming out of college. You know, I like put it on all my resumes, and then it's like those guys are looking at it like, I don't care. Like, okay, the degree is cool,
Right.
but like you're summa cum laude or whatever. So now I'm like, why did I work?
Good job. I'm proud
I
of you.
mean, I am all proud of it. I just had to drop it here for everyone to hear.
Right,
But
yeah.
yeah, the things that don't matter.
Like, I was a big deal. Just,
Yeah.
you know, not that it matters.
Not that it matters, I was a big deal. I was
big
best rester in kindergarten. So we had nap time.
That's
And
excellent.
whoever.
That's a,
Yeah, but like, who
I would
cares?
I would be proud of that one. I would
I'm
be proud.
still best rester in
You know.
life to this day. I sleep a lot.
I mean, it's such a luxury, you know?
It really is.
Like,
Self-care for me is sleep.
Well, like, so with our son, I think about like, and you know, since we're self-employed and everything, when he needs to miss a day, I'm like, okay, that's kind of great. I mean, you know, obviously I work and I do need him to go to school most of the time just for the childcare to some degree.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can see it and be like, and it's such a shift from when I was growing up and my mom, immigrant parents and everything else, and me, an immigrant, where it's like, the mentality when I first got my C's, when I got my first C's, I was grounded from school, you know, like. So
they're more like they're pretty strict.
Yeah. It was like if you're not going to get A's, then there's no reason for. I was like, oh, okay, you know. I mean,
you got grounded from school?
Yes, she kept me home from school because I was not.
That's like most kids dream, but it reverse psychology on you. You're like, I didn't go to school.
Just complete assimilation and integrate in society. And, you know, you come to this new country, America, and all the things, right? So, but it's just even grades or subject matters. Like, I understand that he doesn't need to get straight A's because in the end,
it matters that he's happy and healthy and
and he's gonna know. I make sure he knows enough, you know, to like not like be like failing and like be, but like
it's like you gotta get through it.
Like, yeah.
And as he's gonna be a famous dancer.
As he grows up, it's like I hope you. My whole thing is that I hope he gets to do whatever he wants to do until the next thing, right? Because it's going to constantly change, and his own talents and interests and everything else. Because we know so many people that do not love to do what they're doing and are stuck in it and have no way out. Have not figured out how to get out of it. You know?
Or they're too scared to get out of it.
Well, I mean, that's
stuck. There's a stuckness. Yes. Yes. Like people that go to college and they choose to do the one thing. Accountants, I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep like coming down on you, but it's like I go to school to be an accountant.
If you are an accountant and you don't love the numbers,
you need to put a disclaimer on this episode.
Not for accountants. We're gonna badmouth you guys. You and your sad, sorry lives, doing all our taxes.
Maybe if I knew one, I would have a lot more compassion. Maybe a chance. This could be a therapy session. Like, you know, what is it about?
Well, I mean, it's just happiness, right? Like, I mean, it's whether it's because it's so hard to be happy doing anything. You know, so if you can find your happiness in whatever it is, even if I would never want that, you're really ahead. You know?
Oh my gosh, I'm so inspired.
Well, I mean, so it's that thought for me starts from like Facebook, right? And I used to find people from high school that I'd never seen and be like, oh, they're on Facebook, and me and my judgy self would be like, oh, they're just doing that. And but like the longer I look at their Facebook, I'd be like, they kind of look like genuinely happy with their sad little lives. I mean, sad to me, but like, and then I realized, I say that, but if they're actually happy, then they are completely winning because it is so hard to be happy at any level. You know, we obviously know like famous people, rich people, whatever, that are not happy. You know, so it's like, damn it, they are winning.
I think it's the biggest compliment lately. People say to my photos, like, you look so happy.
Right.
And I'm like, I am. It's like, what? How did this happen? I'm like, why is it so hard to be happy in this country or anywhere? Anyways, we don't need to go down that.
It's a lot of wanting.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's a lot of comparison, I feel like. Like, what's happy to somebody else might not be what happy is to you, and it's the whole like keeping up with the Joneses and social media comparison, you know. And
how much we're afraid of doing things that will make us happy.
We're afraid of doing things that will make
us happy.
Like what? I mean,
well, think about it. Like, so even if you look at like people on their social media and wanting to post, okay, wanting to share whatever, but they get stuck on like, well, if I post a thing and like I get 3 likes, it's a failure. Even though I was happy about posting it, I just wanted to share it. You know, like, so even that level of I'm not gonna post it because I know no one's gonna like
judgment.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So and that's just that level. So like, how many things are we not doing that we would do if
without judgment?
If we thought that everybody was gonna like it. Right. So if we thought everybody was gonna like it, we would do that.
Well, it's social conditioning because I see my kid, right, being happy, and she's at her happiest when she is butt naked, singing Poor Unfortunate Souls like Ursula and dancing and whatever. But we're going to prop society is going to tell her, okay, you can't do that. You know, like she's not afraid of the judgment now. Like that's what her soul wants to do, right? So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even with children, part of our job is to. Well, I see it as like there's so many things that the world is going to tell them to not do, to stop doing, that like our job is to like allow them. And to sort of build it up. And I mean, it's hard to do, and it's a challenge always, but like to give them that strength, you know? And if you're not doing that at home, then how are they going to have it outside? You know, because I mean, that's our place to a large degree, aside from our own feelings and whatever. But I don't know where I was going with that.
No, but I feel like our kids are very lucky to have us because we are
Yeah,
open-minded
no, I was
and
saying
supportive.
the other day in my house, I was like, we are such good parents.
I'm like,
oh my
I
gosh.
wish I was my mom.
I know, like, I mean, you know, obviously our parents were the product of the time, but like, we are such good parents now. Like, it's amazing.
Things are different now, though.
I know, but still.
We're
all like thinking our kids as like whole persons that are developing. We think about like their feelings, you know, we don't
have conversations with them.
We don't shut them down in the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. We think about their dreams in like their dreams, not just our dreams for them.
Right.
Like, we are such good parents.
We're amazing parents.
I know, right?
I feel like my kid doesn't understand how good of a parent I am.
They never do.
Yeah. Well, it's all okay.
You know,
but circling around, we should have a parenting podcast.
No. I'll be right back. Let me check a thing.
No.
I just need to make sure this is recording. All right.
Witchy break.
Witchy break.
Witchy break. That's the name of your podcast.
Witchy break. That's pretty good.
God. Yeah. Sit on it.
What is one thing you wish people knew about palm reading?
That it's not scary. It's not about when you're gonna die. It's more like astrology, where it's a personality profiling tool. So it's very much like, you know, when you read your astrology, it's like you're this kind of person, and emotionally you're this way, and you have boundaries, or, you know, you're a dreamer. It can be very much like that. It's not about like necessarily fortune telling. But it's one of those things, it's hard to understand what it is until you have it done, you know? So
right.
That's why I've been doing it a lot, and also teaching it.
Now, you have been teaching it. How many workshop sessions, sort of as a group, have you?
I've done 2 virtual certifications through a shop in San Francisco called the Scarlet Sage. The first one was 6 weeks, but we felt like that was a little too condensed. But
condensed.
Yeah, like it was just a little too fast. But man,
wow.
those people came out reading palms better than I could. Like, I swear to God. And so the next one we did was 12 weeks, and it allowed for a lot more like workshops.
Wow.
And
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work because I'm a designer, so it's like I give it's a very visual art. So it's like collecting pictures of hands and designing the presentations, and also, you know, it's teaching what things mean, because I think people get a very focused on what does it mean? What does it mean? They want everything to mean something specific. But I like to kind of teach it as also leaving it open for it to become like a connection and a conversation with the person, not necessarily like telling them, this is what this means for you, this is what this means for you, but it's kind of like, okay, this might mean this, but, you know, do you relate to that? And giving somebody space to...
Well, because there's your hand, and then there's context around everything that's you see there, you know? So it's like, well, this line in your context means all the difference.
Yeah,
right? So.
Yes, exactly. But I feel like it's the connection between people or yourself that makes palm reading so special, and that it's a physical thing. You know, it's different than the stars and the cards. It's like, this is on your body, you know?
Makes me think, because I was zoning off. Just kidding.
You were like, because I don't care what you're saying.
No. I do care. Mostly about, like, do you have any favorite crystals right now?
Favorite crystals? Well, I really like... Actually, you know what? It's funny. I have a wedding ring on hold, and it is moonstone. So moonstone is one of my favorites, and in palm reading, moonstone is very intuitive and like psychic. So I used to always wear one on my 4th finger, my ring finger, because that is in palmistry, it's the finger of Apollo, which is also like creative and psychic. So my wedding ring is going to be moonstone. This is pink tourmaline.
Fancy.
But yeah, moonstone. I have like amethyst over here and quartz. And
so one is moonstone, or one specifically?
It's definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, moonstone's my favorite. Fluorite.
Okay.
Rainbow fluorite. Pretty. Yeah. I do.
You did
Just kidding.
excellent.
No, it really is my favorite.
Yeah. All right.
But crystals, they're all about intention, you know? Like I feel like that's something people get over focused on. It's like this one's this, this one's this, this one's this. They can mean whatever you want it to mean. It's like you program them, you know.
That's true. I mean, I suppose. I don't really know.
Okay.
So
But
y'all would know.
That's what I'm throwing out here.
That's what
Y'all would know.
Y'all would know. That's why I'm adjacent to the witchiness, as I describe it.
How are you?
I mean,
Your wife works at a crystal shop.
yes.
You're more than adjacent.
I mean, I'm a spouse, partner, husband of witches.
Yes,
that live in my house or
yeah.
live in the tiny house in my backyard.
Yes.
And then I get to know cool people, but I guess mentally I haven't made that mental switch where it's like, yeah, I'm in it.
Yeah.
But
you
I do this.
are. You
I mean,
use
never
that
mind the part
word.
where I do like daily card readings now, and like I pull cards every day and I
he's
post
the
it.
best deck. We have it right there. We talked to Katie's dog that passed with just that deck. It is the most magical part of our lives. It's pretty good.
What's the name of the deck again? Do you remember?
It's like a dead day. It's not Day of the Dead, but it's there. We both have it.
I'll post a picture of it or whatever. But
Well, the symbolism and the colors and everything
No,
is
it's great.
so rich. It like says so much.
Yeah, and it simplifies it with the advice of the dead.
Check the podcast notes.
Right. Mark, put it in there later, okay?
What were we talking about?
I don't know everything, but what do you have any general? I don't know. How do you feel witchiness has come along and where it's going? Happy with it? Comfortable with it? Do you like it?
Yeah.
What
It's becoming mainstream. So like this started for me when I was in middle school. I used to go to Barnes and Noble and like hang out in the New Age section. Like it was just New Age back then. And we used to go to this store in Nashville called Magical Journeys, which was like I would go to this shop and it was super New Agey. Crystal, incense, whatever. But I would leave the shop and I would feel high even though I was completely sober. And I was like, what is that? And it was just like that, kind of like the power and the energy and the vibe of the shop. But it wasn't like mainstream then, like it was still these like little corner shops.
I mean, it was barely mainstream 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, now it is blown up.
So.
Which
now they even have kombucha.
I've heard that.
Jumping on the bandwagon.
I've heard that. But I think, so first of all, it's great for it to be more mainstream because it means that people like me who are very passionate about it can get my art out there, and like share it.
Well, it is also a vibe and way of life,
it's
and
empowering.
like, to some, and one would even argue like it's innate to us being humans.
Absolutely.
The connection that it has with the energy
that
of the world and the universe.
Right. So we keep throwing the word witchy around, and we even have this witchy kombucha, right? But like, what is a witch? Like, what do you think? How would you define? Or should I throw it at you?
Throw it at me?
Yeah.
Well, obviously,
we're gonna cut
different
this out.
people define it for themselves,
right?
And just like I was saying, like I hadn't completely bought into the idea that I could be a witch or that I do witchy things, really, or rather, I recognize that I do witchy things, but it's like, but that's not part of my identity.
Sure.
Right. So it's at that point where you decide for yourself that it is part of your identity.
Sure.
Right. So whatever that means, but it's more that internal like switch in your head, and it's very likely that you're probably going to be doing some of the obvious things.
Right.
But
stirring cauldrons.
Yes.
Huge seances.
Yeah. Always like talking in rhyme sometimes.
Yeah.
As you stir the cauldrons.
Sorry, my magnetic.
Okay. But I think for me, thinking about it, it is more that like when you decide like, oh, okay, I am a witch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you could be doing the things and like me and still not think that you're a witch.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're all just words, right? It's like labels and whatever. But
What do you think of witches? How would you describe it if it would?
I think that a witch is somebody who actively participates in kind of working with energy in taking control of their own destiny. You know?
That's pretty good.
You know,
Taking control of your own destiny.
taking control of your
I mean,
own
that's-
destiny.
There is a certain amount of power
Yeah,
with
it's definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's as general as that. It doesn't have to be,
right.
the pretty hat. This is picking up on my birds. That's part of my like witchiness too. It's like animals. I have to. Animals are like my thing. Like my cat sneaks up.
Hello, Cat.
Rockwood. Totally not a witching egg.
Well, thank you for hanging out today.
You're welcome.
I appreciate the range of topics that we talked about.
We went right through them. Was it like 10 minutes? So we're like parenting, spirituality, coming back from the dead.
Awesome. Well, enjoy your time.
I will enjoy my time. You enjoy your time.